Well, that was easy. Huh. Hey, babe. Go on YouTube and see if I'm live. What? I know, I'm testing it out. Well, I think it says I already have people in here. Yeah, I'm over here joking like I'm sick. What's up, Kyle? Do you see it? Yeah, it says working. Yeah, I'm live. What's up, everybody? What is happening? I didn't think anybody'd show up. I'm glad to see you guys. I don't know. What's up, Jay Adams? Who was it? Hooligan, Mike Gillis, Mike Wilt, Kyle Orsak. Okay, I'm live. It is working. Hey, Wes. Wes. Oh, okay. My son's catching chickens. Can you shut the door, baby? What's up, everybody? I just got back, actually, a couple minutes ago. If you follow me on Instagram, I got to meet Fast Jack Beckman. So he lives in town right over here in Norco, and we have a mutual friend. So I was going to start this at 5, and then he called and was like, hey, you want to come meet Jack? So I abandoned you guys, so sorry about that. But now that it is 7 or close to 7, we can get rolling. I told everybody that we'd start at 7, and so let's just throw this out here. I'm just kind of winging it, and I figure a lot of people would be bored and want to see something or interact. So I'll answer any questions you guys have on the Twinnebago, the Mustang I'm working on, Malibu. If you have a project you're doing, any of that stuff, we can go over those questions, kind of get them answered here. You can ask them in the comment section or whatever. I'll see if I can figure out how this thing works. I've never done this, so bear with me, guys. So what's up, everybody? Hey, Boa. Let me see if I can say something. Sorry for my spelling too. I am not good at spelling. So there you go. Okay, that's me. Hey, Wes. Okay, so first and foremost, I got a package. I guess we won't really show the address. This is from Pace Performance. They make, well, they don't make, they sell performance parts. And it is a flex fuel sensor. So we are going to put the Twinnebago on flex fuel. And part of the reason I am doing that is because Mr. Matt Happel saw the package that I ordered. Come here, come say hi to everybody. Say hi, wave. Look at your live. You see all the guys over there? They say hi. Look at, we got this too. I was going to have you open it, but this is what we got. Go get some of your favorite Hot Wheels. Share some of your Hot Wheels with everybody. Go show them what you got. So anyway, I have in transit the flex fuel plug and play for the new Holley Terminator X that I just purchased from Sloppy Mechanics. So when that shows up, yep, check those out. They're pretty cool. All right. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna go flex fuel. So he told me to go to Pace Performance to get this because some of the eBay ones kind of crap out and aren't that good. So this is a genuine one. Pace Performance. They ship fast. The price is reasonable. It's good to go. So I got a couple quick questions. Kyle says, pretty sweet, I'm doing this. Thanks, man. S10 says, hello. S10 issues, actually. All's working on the lag on mine. Yeah, it's going to lag. It's a live stream. It's like when I interviewed Matt, the weird part was not cutting the other guy off because I would say something and then he would listen, and then there was like this moment where you would kind of sit and wait to see if the other guy was going to talk. So it'll be like that, but it'll be all right. Internet sucks. What's up, Wes? Hey, Wes, ProCharge67 said hi. Pace, who got my Terminator X Mac from? Place I got. So I'm wondering if you're asking where I got my Terminator X. I was going to buy it at a local place. I priced everything out, and I ended up just going to Summit because if I ordered X amount of dollars, I got an extra $100 off, and then we just did it that way. It ended up being easier. So let me shut this door real quick. Sorry about that. I had my dogs wandering out and everybody, and I could hear the noise. But yeah, I just ordered it from Summit. It was $100 cheap. And then I ended up ordering an oil pan. I got an LS3 dipstick for it. I bought the oil pan that's the knockoff instead of the Holley. I reached out to Holley. I got a hold of those guys about the Twinnebago, and then they just kind of fell off the face of the planet. And it got to the point where I was like, I just got to pull the trigger on this. So it will be Holley equipped, but Holley is not part of the build. But they're still involved. I mean, they're great. One of these days, I'm sure if I get big enough, they'll figure it out and maybe we can work together. But until that day happens, I'm not really concerned. I do like the Holley products. I will still push them. They are user-friendly and super simple, because if I can figure these things out, you guys are good to go. How is your Power Glide build working out? So Mike Wilt asked me that. So the Power Glide is actually working. I took the Malibu this evening over to Beckman's house to kind of share it with him and show it to him. He's got I don't know what year's El Camino was, but it's the bigger one. And so his El Camino is super nice, like the paint and all the stuff. And he's having some brake issues with it right now. So I was bouncing ideas back and forth on his brake setup, why I thought it may not be working properly. He has a manual brake setup. And then he wanted to go look at my car, and we went out and we had a good laugh. But, you know, he was surprised at the horsepower numbers. I think you probably thought I was kind of full of it a little bit, but I'm like, here's my YouTube, here's all my stuff, here's some time slips. And he was like, man, that thing should have been a lot lower 60 foot for that, you know, that time. And I was like, yeah, it's making power. We're just doing it all in the big end. I was like, this thing comes out of the hole like a turd, and then we party up top. It's kind of like a mullet. You party on the back end, like up top, it's all business, and then the back end you get rolling. So yeah, long-winded answer on the Power Glide. It's working well, other than the planetary that thing was used. And when I drive it around, you can hear it in first gear, because I don't know if you guys know or not, but a Power Glide is super, super basic. So I didn't know anything about transmission, still kind of don't. But on a Power Glide, it's a 2-speed, right? So the way it works is you have a planetary that's like a gear reduction essentially, and you have a band. And you'll hear people talk about the band. When you apply pressure to the servo, which is the band, it basically clamps your planetary, and then the shaft spins, and that's your gear reduction. That's it. So first gear is literally the band holding the planetary in place for your gear reduction. So mine's used, and I know it's sloppy and it just makes a bunch of noise. And it concerned me when I first fired it up, but at this point I don't even care. Like, as long as the planetary gears stay inside and don't come flying out of the case, I guess we'll be good. But I would really love to put some straight cuts in that thing. Maybe when I quit hemorrhaging money on the Twinnebago, which we'll get into that a bit later, how that project is rolling. But I want to answer some more questions for you guys. Monster trucks, yes, the boy loves monster trucks. He has a monster truck. I don't know if you guys saw that at Christmas time. I found him a Carter monster truck. He's been mobbing around a bit. Although Dad put some bad fuel in it and it has been running good, so I need to clean the carburetor. But I'm almost at the point, like, if I can't get that Predator to run, it's a little Predator motor from Harbor Freight, I will just replace it, aside from messing with that carburetor, because dealing with the headache or spending $100 to get a 20% off coupon, if that thing doesn't run, I'm just going to replace that motor and let him mob that thing around. What else? Any recommendations on a 2-bar map? Yeah, just the GM. Just go. I don't have, like, I'm not a wizard with part numbers offhand, but just get a GM 2-bar map. I can tell you, if you want a 3-bar map, EFI Source has a good non-GM 3-bar map. And then I know Happel found a 4-bar GM that's pretty cheap, but you lose resolution when you go up with map sensors, because it's a 5-volt signal and it has to scale that, right? So if you had 5 volts and you had 100 points, it would scale it, right? Well, if you have 5 volts, but now you have 200 points, that's what they're talking about with resolution, because you're still only working with the 5-volt reference. They're just kind of stretching it out. So that's why you lose what's called resolution. So it's going to be more accurate, the less amount of points, I guess you'd say, in between. I guess that's kind of a good description, I hope, if you guys understand that. But like, you only want to use the map sensor that you need. So a 2-bar or 2.5-bar map will get you to like 15 pounds. And I think mine's a 3-bar on there, but I could be doing what I'm doing with a 2.5 bar, which would be better resolution. It'd control it a bit better. But yeah, just a factory GM1. And then if you want to go 3-bar, say the 2.5 bar is a little expensive. If you go to EFI Source, they have a decent deal, and that's actually where I have my car, and it works fantastic. The build was impressive. Most are terrified to build a trans. Pro Charge 67. So again, with the transmission build on this channel, because I heard a guy not too long ago basically tell me, what was it? Oh, it was a how-to on installing my fuel cell in Malibu, and he was like, your how-to was basically crap. And I just wrote the guy back and I said, dude, this is like an entertainment channel. I share with you guys what I'm actually working on. If you ask me how-to stuff, I have working knowledge on a lot of different things, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And like I told the other guy, if I did a how-to video, I'm going to be wrong no matter what, because there's always a different way to do it. So I just give a general guideline on stuff. But when it came to the transmission, I literally was just locked down doing that. So I just shared it and I read out of the book. And the funny part with that video series is I would read the book and then put the thing together, whatever piece I was working on, and then kind of understand it. And then I would take it apart again and I'd turn the camera on. So that way I wasn't a complete idiot. So I had it at least done once or twice, but I still missed some pieces and parts. And I tried to type and put stickies on like this stuff. Like for instance, when you have your gear set for your, what was it? The pump gear set on your transmission, you don't want to hammer it and put a dent in it because you're creating a burr, and that's not good. And then when it goes around the transmission, you're just going to cause issues. Well, I did that because I didn't really know, and I just had the camera running. You could just use a marker, or actually, even if you took it all apart and flipped it all around, there's a beveled side and like a non-beveled side, and you'll figure it out. Because if you don't have it in right, the torque converter won't seat anyways, which I found out later. But I'm like you guys. That was the first one I'd ever done, and I was afraid of stuff, and I was like, oh, let me just hit this with a punch and a hammer, which not a good idea. Don't hit any of your pieces in your transmission with a punch or hammer. And the other screw up I did on my transmission when I was building it in the video series was on the governor support. There is like it's like a bushing bearing that carries the load on the back end, and it has all this crap hanging off, right? Well, I thought I still needed portions of the governor, but I took some pieces out because I thought there'd be like a pressure loss. Well, it turns out you just take all that stuff off, and then when you change the valve body, it doesn't matter. I didn't know that, so I kind of put like half the stuff back in and then had the video series up, and then somebody wrote me, and then I made a note on that, but I put the race cover on the back end of it, which is like an extra $60. So when you're in that far, you just get the rear bearing support. I could probably share a link or figure it out somehow if you guys are really interested to build your own transmission, but that was one of the pieces I did not buy, and I had one of you guys luckily save my ass and send it in, and I replaced it in a different video on here. But those were the two like major things you don't want to do from that video series. But other than that, I encourage everybody, especially like a power glide, and you have a running car or you have a project and you have some time, if you tear one apart, it's not as intimidating as you think it is once you kind of wrap your head around how the thing works. The other bit of advice I'll give you too, if you're going to do a transmission and you're new to it, like what I did is you take it apart, but you don't take the items apart, like the clutch assemblies and the pump itself. If you set that to the side and you disassemble it, then you work on each one individually and disassemble it, clean it, do whatever you need to do, and reassemble it. You have a lot better chance of getting things back together and not getting overwhelmed. So take it apart in an order where you know you can put it back together, and then do each section individually. If you're working on a clutch disc set, if you're working on the pump itself, whatever it is, do them in sections instead of just blowing the transmission apart, blowing everything into a million pieces, and then throwing it in the trash can, because that's probably what I would have done. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. And it wasn't that bad, and it's working, and it's kind of voodoo still to me, but I'm confident enough if it takes a dump that I'll rip it back out and pull it apart. And like I said, I'd like to run some straight cuts in it if I can. So what else? Straight Boosted, what's up, man? I see him on here. I see you. Dude, you're posting the crap of some videos over there. I hope you're getting a little bit of traction, man. I need to go watch some of your stuff. I've been swamped over here. But yeah, the EFI source has a good, what is it, 2.5 bar map. Mike Gillis, we're trying to go down these in order. What else have I done on the Mustang? So this is a, what is it, 69 Mustang. And he brought it to me. It was supposed to just get like paint and body stuff from what I gathered before it showed up. And then it showed up, and then all the parts showed up. So I have a full-on build on my hands with the 67. So you see it in videos. It's on cribbing. It's sitting in the garage. It's been in different states. But a lot of custom metalwork has already been done to it. And then right now I'm working on lines, and we did the fuel lines. And there's a tank right here. I got a Tanks Inc. Tank. They make custom fuel tanks and applications for all different kinds of vehicles. It's a stamped tank. It's actually a really nice piece. But on a Mustang, just kind of like same thing as my Chevelle, if you crawl up underneath it, the sender and everything comes out of like the front, the pickup tube. Like if you're laying underneath the vehicle, it's toward where like the rear axle, if you were picture that laying up underneath there. Well, on the Tanks Inc. one, they built a sump in, and the pump and everything drops in from the top, which isn't a big deal, except for the fact that in a Ford Mustang, they use the tank as the base for the floor in the trunk. So now you got fuel lines coming out of the top of it. So it's kind of weird to put a floor on fuel lines. So I literally made a whole false floor, raised it up to clear the fuel lines, and I made hard lines in a pocket and stuff. I mean, I guess I could probably do a quick video showcasing some of the work that I've done on this thing. But yeah, it'll be here for quite a while. It has a really nice motor. But essentially, I got to make it run and drive and then tear it all down and do paint and body. So this will be here a while. But when it leaves, it'll look spectacular. We'll do a cool walk around video and all the stuff on it when it gets further along. But mostly just metalwork, straightening things out, doing gaps. He did a custom Shelby style taillights on it and things. So yeah, I'll give you guys, if you're interested, let me know, and I can at least do kind of a walk around and throw it up here. I do some of it on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I've done a few walk arounds and some of the work I've done here. But I guess I could throw it on YouTube if you guys are interested on that. So what else? So yeah, Mike, I have a lot of work to do on the Mustang. So if you just joined in, thank you guys for joining. I started this a little early because I had no idea what I was doing, and I was yelling at my wife to see if people could see, and it was already running. So we've been at it for a little bit here, just trying to answer some of these questions. If you got questions, or say hi in the live chat over here, I'll get to you when I can. Jay Adams, thanks for the education on that, Dan. Thanks for the part number, Kyle. So looks like you guys worked all that out. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try to type on the computer. I'm just going to wing stuff. And yeah, the haters learn something new every day. Yeah, Chase Weber. The reality is, like I said this from day one with YouTube, is I think that the internet is just like a cruel playground for children, essentially. And it gives people the ability to say stuff to people that they don't know, and they can hide behind a keyboard. And ultimately, I mean, I'll continue to say this probably forever, but the first fan I realized I really had, like I met a couple people, but when I met my little buddy Kane, he's the little dude in the wheelchair with his dad Fernando. They have that Apache. I realized like I actually had a real deal fan in that kid. And I came home and basically told my wife, I said, I don't care if people talk crap. I don't care if they like what I'm doing, because it makes that dude's day better. And ever since then, it's gotten bigger and better. And I think a lot of that has to do with me not caring as much as what like the haters and the people that say stuff. Because in the beginning, I was trying to egg them on, and I thought like, oh, you know, you're always going to get that, and you kind of buck the system. But now I don't really care. And if people say negative stuff, I'm like, eh. And there's also constructive criticism, which sometimes people mistake that. Like, I don't care if you say things that aren't good, as long as you're trying to kind of help stuff. But if you're just blasting the blast, most of the time I don't even pay attention. Some people are really good at it, though. Some people can really kind of get under your skin, and it is what it is. I'm more than willing to take some of the shots. For all of the good that comes from this, and the people I met and have helped me out, and, you know, inspiring people to do builds and things, some people want to talk smack. It is what it is, man. I'm sure you can make up all kinds of stuff about me. I'm sure at some point people will say some funny stuff. I will share one, though, that I think is hilarious. It was my friend John Chase from Hoonigan. He's probably gonna like yell at me, but when he got his beard shaved because he lost to Finnegan. One of the haters in the comments said he looked like a boiled hot dog. And I was laughing so hard when he told me that because he was all red and he kind of looked like a boiled hot dog. But yeah, I've heard some pretty good ones. Mainly, Hoonigan's got some crazy fans. So I'm kind of glad that a lot of those dudes didn't transfer over here anyway from the stuff that I did with those guys. But yeah, let's get on to some more stuff. What do we got? Greetings from Fort Worth. What's up, man? Classic Ride Society. Kyle's thumbs up, straight boosted. What's up, man? Classic Ride Society. My first and only trans rebuild was back in 2014. 4L60E, imagine that. You had to rebuild one of those. On a 2000 Silverado, still going almost 400,000 miles. Well, that just means you don't make any horsepower, man. No, I just mess with you. But I have no idea. 400,000, that is a pile of miles. Even if you're making mild horsepower just as a daily, that's still pretty good. But from what I understand, I take that back. I had one car with the 4L60E. It was in 2000 Camaro I bought to flip, and I called it the Kid Rock Camaro. And I tried to convince my wife to keep it because I'm like, dude, we can just make whatever we want out of that thing. But unfortunately, I do live in Southern California, so smog was an issue. That's why I drive the Malibu, and that's why I have like older vehicles. That's why I've got an old motorhome. If I didn't live in California, I probably would have just turbocharged a later model motorhome that had like an LS in it or something. Yeah, so I've never had experience with that. And the Kid Rock Camaro that I had, it shifted well, and I didn't have any power outers or anything. And I got rid of it before it did the all neutrals trick on me, fortunately enough. But yeah, the other transmission too is the Malibu had a 3-speed TH400 that I filled with glitter from my first converter that I had. I had a $100 converter behind that engine combo that's in there now when it was only making about 500, and it turned that converter to glitter and filled my TH400 with parts. So that's why I ended up with the Power Glide and the build and everything you guys see now. It basically took majority of last year to get all my crap together and get it put in the car, which I haven't got really a chance to use since Roadkill because we've been going crazy on the Twinnebago, which now seems like it's not going to make a debut for quite a while with all the crazy that's going around, unfortunately. Just followed a YouTube video. Classic Ride. Mike Wilt. Thoughts on a narrowed Ford 8.8 Explorer in a Fox body? Will I need special wheels? I actually know a bit about these, Mike, believe it or not. So I had, well, I've done a couple cars with them. So I have, I think it's in the videos here, that Studebaker that you see the paintwork and everything on. I built that entire car from the ground up by myself. And that has a narrowed Ford Explorer 8.8. And then I had a short bed unibody F100, and I did a Crown Vic swap, and then I put in the 8.8 into that. So the wheel pattern on that is the same. It's still a Ford car pattern. What's different? Nothing's really different about it. You're only going to get 3 inches narrowed. So you basically take 2 short side axles. I forget which side's the long side. I want to say driver's side's the long side, but don't quote me on that. And when you go to the junkyard, though, do yourself a favor. When you source your 8.8, find another 8.8 and pull the short side axle out of the other one, and then take the long side axle out of the one you're going to keep and dump that one and put 2 short side axles in so you're not buying an extra axle. They dinged me on that when I went, and I'm super honest, and I got up to the front, and I'm not going to go pull more parts, so I ended up having to pay. But if you're smart, like I'm smart enough now, you take the 8.8 you want, you pull the long side axle out, you find another short side one, you stuff it in, and then you get everything you need. All you got to do is chop out that one section. And then the other thing on those two is you can get the ones with the disc brake. You can find the, the ratio that you need, because it should be on the tag cover. Somebody didn't rob that. They're 31 spline. You can get them with posi traction. And then, like I said, the wheels it's a standard car pattern, 514.5. And then that's pretty much it. That's a pretty decent sized disc brake, but it'll fit, I believe it'll fit under a 15-inch rim, but I could be wrong on that. You may have to go a little bit bigger. Maybe the Crown Vics came with like a 16-inch. So don't quote me on that. So you may with the disc brake application on the 8.8, just make sure that your rims that you're going to use, if you're running a 15-inch, make sure it'll clear the rear disc, because then you may have to get a rear drum set up for depending on what your wheels are. So hope that helped with that. If you have any more questions, just ask them here. Like I said, I've done a handful of those as well. So what else we got going on? Oh, I had one in the Maverick too that I never ran. Although I did that all myself and shortened it, and that was a whole can of worms. I sent it to Curry for welding and straightening, and then they didn't assemble it and gave it back, and my spider gears and everything fell in the bottom of it. They were supposed to set it up, and I wasn't too happy with them. Still really not. They're around the corner from my house, but I don't know. Maybe one day we'll be friends again, I guess. What else you got? Yeah, the other thing too on that 8.8 is tracked width. If you're going to throw that 8.8 shortened, I want to say it's like 56 inches flange to flange. So just make sure that'll fit under the Mustang. I think it works because I have one under a shoebox too. So I put one under a shoebox Ford. So yeah, I've actually done quite a few of those. Kyle Orsak, are you running open loop or closed loop right now? You know what? I want to say it's obviously open loop when it could, because I still have the learning capability set in my Terminator X Max. So I think Kyle's asking me if I'm running open loop or closed loop in my Terminator X Max with the Holly that's in the Malibu is what I'm taking away from that question. And it's open loop when I'm just rolling around and it's actually learning, because I still have it set to learn and it does that. And I'll transfer the files every now and then for the cruising aspect of it. But then obviously when you're wide open, it's closed loop under, full throttle. So that's how that thing is just set up, and it's kind of straight from the factory. I haven't really messed with all that. And like I said, it is tuned. I've taken it to the dyno several times. I don't know if you guys saw it last time, but I took it for the very first time. I tuned it myself, which is very scary in the beginning. And then we ended up blowing out the intercooler, and I welded that up and then took it to zip ties. So there's actually a little more left in it, not much, but I was at 15 pounds with it fat. So I just left it fat when we took it to zip tie. So I could probably lean it out a little bit. There might even be a little more ignition timing, but I'm starting to get to the point to where it's apples and you're just splitting hairs, really. I mean, it's not going to change like a whole second of my time. So I didn't want to blow that thing to pieces. Still pretty conservative. I just can't 60 because I have suspension. Classic Ride Society, what happened with the Florida move? So for those of you guys that follow me for a while, I started selling all my crap. That's why I had an enclosed trailer. I had a golf cart. I had a big tire Maverick I was building, and I had hopes and dreams. Well, the market over here for the housing industry started to peak, and I realized it. And we have family that lives in Florida. We vacation there pretty much every year. We really enjoy it. We like it out there. And there's an opportunity for me, if I could sell high here, there was the market, the exchange rate, essentially, I was going to be able to buy a house outright. And I started setting everything up, trying to get my house ready. By the time I listed my house, the market had changed to the point of I wasn't able to buy a house outright. And the whole point of the move was if I could buy a house outright, I'd be ahead of the game. And then I was going to have to start a new business, establish new clients. I actually had a different game plan. I was actually looking to get into dyno tuning if I moved out to Florida, because the weather, like paint and body and having a big facility, the overhead would chew me up, I think, before I got my clientele base established over there. So I was going to kind of change it up. And in order to do all that stuff, I needed to have pretty much all my bills zeroed out because we're going to be starting over. And the market didn't really work out. And I could afford to go and move, but then I would still have a mortgage and a bunch of things. And we're fine here. We just chose to leave because of the opportunity, and it didn't work out. So we stayed put. We're locked down here. My son will start school, and I'm just going to ride it out with the rest of the crazies over here in Southern California. Unless stuff gets really bad and I just can't hack it, we're just going to stay. So yeah, I was looking forward to it. At some point, we will probably end up in Florida. We really, really enjoyed out there. And I was very bummed I didn't get to leave. But at this point, you got to look at the things you can do and not just dwell on a bunch of stuff you don't have control over, unfortunately. So what else? Are you running open? Yeah, on the Malibu. So I hope I answered your question, Kyle, on the open or closed loop. Boosted J-Rod says some people have to put others down to make themselves feel better. I completely agree. But again, it's like a-holes and opinions. You know, everybody has one, and I share the things that I enjoy. The other thing too is the reason I do a lot of how-to stuff is I want to keep it fun for myself. If I feel like I'm not having fun making a video, it's really pointless. Nobody's going to watch it. It's hard to ask you guys to show up on Tuesdays to watch the stuff that I do anyway, let alone if I was doing something that I was like it wasn't even that fun. You're not going to watch it. I wouldn't watch it. So I'm going to continue to do the things I enjoy, bring you guys along on adventures. What I'm really, really hoping to do with the channel, and it's funny because I'm learning this because I have a channel, is I'll get like my car running and then I jump onto the next thing because I'm kind of a builder. I like to build stuff. I do enjoy driving, but I always, for some reason, I think it's going to be bigger and better if I do this or do that. And then I turn around and tell you guys like, just run what you have or whatever. Well, the Malibu's a good example because now that I have a good running car that's a 10-second car, I started another project. Granted, I have motives behind that. It was time frame based for LS Fest. Then I was going to take my car to LS Fest and do some other upgrades and things. But ultimately, now that things are out of whack, I'm still planning on taking the Twinnebago to Kentucky for LS Fest East. I doubt that LS Fest West is going to go down. Vegas, everything is shut down. Let's just be honest. So I'm just going to change my focus a little bit, get off the gas on the thing a little bit, so to speak, because I was running ragged. I mean, I'd work in here, shut down, and then work out there until my wife would yell at me for dinner. And at least right now, it's probably not good for my immune system and things. So we're going to slow down a bit. I'm still working on the thing, but now the clock isn't pressing as hard. So if life gets back to normal, we're going to start banging on the Malibu and having a little bit of fun instead of just gangbusters on the Twinnebago, because now that my time frame has opened up a bit, now I would like to get it into paint. I'd like to put graphics on it and do everything I planned on doing for LS Fest East. So now we can get all that done before we debut it. I was looking at kind of a half-assed debut for LS Fest West because I wasn't going to be able to put paint or graphics. I want to do a custom grill, a visor. I actually have like a rendering of the thing, and I didn't want to throw it out there because I knew that I wouldn't be able to accomplish all of it for LS Fest West, and then I was going to do it all for LS Fest East. But it's probably better that I bust the thing out one time at the big show, show everybody, and then it's just done versus like, here's kind of what it is, and then in a couple months it's going to be something different. So kind of worked in my favor, and then that way it opens up a little bit of time. So if the zombie apocalypse doesn't happen, I can run my damn car. We'll go have some fun and try to get that stupid 60-foot down that what's his name was giving me grief about. Beckman was like, "You're 60-foot." I was like, "Oh, here we go. I got a pro Top Fuel drag racer knocking on my 60-foot." I was like, "I know it's terrible, Jack. You have to tell me. I was the guy riding in the car." All right. Well said, J-Rod. Hey, Dane, any paint plans for the Malibu or Bago? Okay, well, this gets me to that, Jamie. I think I kind of answered that and touched on it. Let me see. I'll share with you guys on here. I know it's probably going to be terrible. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the plan for the color on the Twinnebago, this is bad. I should probably just throw this on the real deal. So that is what the Twinnebago is going to look like ultimately. We got the visor. Yeah, and then the yellow that you see is going to be candy gold. So I talked to my paint supplier. He doesn't have anybody on board, but I can get some white paint from him. I haven't talked to any of my buddies at Coast or anything because we haven't gotten that far. Or Manny over at Tropical Glitz. He did come out with a new gold, though, that's pretty rad, so we might spray it that. But it's going to be gold and white, stainless trucker visor, reminiscent of what the Ring Brothers have. And then a full custom stainless grill. So I'm already talking to a guy about that. But considering now that I have time, I'll probably make my own grill. Then we lowered it. The wheels are actually here, which has been a big cluster F. But I got wheels off of a forum through a buddy, and it's been a nightmare. But they are in Downey, which is like Southern California. I can literally go get them. So I will have wheels on Monday that are a 19.5 that take radials. So that was huge because that thing has split wheels on it. So that is a big relief and a piece of the puzzle knocked out. The motor will be done tomorrow. I'm picking that up. If the police don't stop me. And then what else do we got? The management, Holly is here. So even if we're locked down, I can still plug along and we'll have some fun with that. But yeah, to answer your question, we're going to spray that thing white and then with some gold candy on it. I'm going to redo the Winnebago logo. And then I think I'm going to do the BurnDown in with a giant sticker for my buddy SoCal Stickers. He already opted to sponsor it, so he's on board with it. So on like the top rear corners, I have to see where I want to put it, but I think we'll make that removable. So when some sheik in Dubai decides he needs a turbo Winnebago, I can just peel my sticker off and go, here you go, brother. You take it and go rip it up out in Dubai with the thing. But yeah, so I think we're just going to do that. I just don't want to tape out big old graphics, honestly. We'll tape out the Winnebago portion, but I don't want to get too in-depth detail on that freaking billboard. Although I do want I'm going to run the spare tire, and I want a spare tire cover with Uncle Gus on it. So we are going to have that. I'll have that made or stitched or however we do that. Maybe we'll talk to DJ Safety, my buddy boy over there. Something. We'll figure it out, but that's down the line. Let's see. What happened in Florida move? J-Rod. Jason Brewer, plans for the wife's car. I'm glad she's in the other room, Jason. But honestly, what I wanted to do is we'll probably put her at least on the 85 and give her a little more juice in that thing. But honestly, it's a pretty quick car right out of the gate. And I think I don't want to screw with it a terrible amount because California is a bunch of Nazis when it comes to smog and all that stuff. So I figure what we could see. I said, you start talking about a car here to crack the door on me. But I think we'll give her a little more power with SME 85 and then kind of leave that there. And then if she decides she really needs to go fast, the Malibu, I've always told her since day one that I think it's fair that I make a car safe enough that I would, if I'm driving it, I would allow her to drive it. So I can't tell her it's safe and then get in this really highly unsafe thing and then have her trust me with it. So what I'm getting at is at some point she'll probably get to drive the Malibu when she gets some confidence. So we'll make her car a little faster and then we'll let her rock the Malibu and kind of get a feel for it. And honestly, that's kind of supposed to be her car. I was building the Maverick and supposed to try to go real fast and all that. But at this point, if she needs to go real fast, I don't want to just cut up and tear up her nice daily. So, yeah, like I said, they're Nazis. But yeah, SME 85 will make that thing's quick as it is, honestly. So I think that will be the plan for that thing. I guess if money fell out of the sky or magnets like Magnuson showed up and they want to throw a blower at me, we could put it on the car. But ultimately, that car's cool with what it is. And if she wants to go fast, she could drive that. And then I feel if I ever need to go real fast, I'll just get like a 25.5 cert roller from back east or somewhere and plug in some crappy turbo LS power and go balls out in that thing. So the Malibu will be limited at some point. I still haven't really figured out where it fits in. I really like the 235 class. I know it's limiting, but I feel like it's going to force me to learn suspension and I won't have a tire to lean on. And if I can get the 235 to work at all, that would be cool. Although my buddy Reed with the Tempest was giving me shit. He was busting my balls the other day because he's already lifting tire. And I was like, oh, that's right. And I don't know. I don't even know if my car will get there. Maybe on a sticky track like the ones that they do back east where the stuff's glue. Yeah, I could see the 235 or maybe Vegas. There's a event at the end of the year in Vegas I want to try to take the car to, and we can whack that thing out of the hole. But my local track, Irwindale, is sketchy. Even back when I talked to him tonight, I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, you should take to Fontana. I was like, well, I take it to Irwindale. I ran a 6.8. He's like, I wouldn't want to be in anything that goes 6.8 at Irwindale. And I laughed. I'm like, I was hoping the thing would go much faster than that. But, yeah, so my local track is just not the best as far as prep. But, you're racing the track. People complain. I've seen people boogie. I've seen some fast cars there. So if you know your stuff, I think you can make whatever work. You work with what you got. What else we got? Paint plans, plans for the wife's car. Ditto Jason. Oh, geez. Oh, she's already on the live feed. Look what you guys started. Thanks, Jason Brewer. Thanks. Unless you work at like Magnuson or something, dude, and you wanna hook her up. What else have we got? I got a disc 8.8 with a Camaro 15-inch. So S10 Issues says he has an 8.8 with a Camaro 15-inch. So S10 Issues, you said you have an 8.8. Did you re-drill the axles to fit the wheel pattern, or do you have a spacer? Because if you have a Camaro 15-inch wheel, that's a Chevy pattern on a Ford axle. Or did you get axles? Just asking. Oh, there we go. Everybody's already answering it. I meant to open or close. Oh, so Kyle meant do I have open or closed loop under boost control? I believe it's just closed loop on boost control. Whatever's factory and stock, I haven't screwed with it. I know Happel from Sloppy was talking about open loop and all that stuff with boost, but I haven't really messed with the software quite as much as I should. Although I did get injectors, and I finally got some data, so we're going to swap those out because I'm pulling the injectors out of the Malibu to put in the Twinnebago. So I'm going to have to jump in the software and do injector data, and then pretty much screw the tune-up that I have in it. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But we'll get into it. But I don't. There's got to be maybe a benefit for going open loop and boost control, but I don't know. I'm not a super tuning guru guy. We're just getting started over here. I only make videos on what I love. Luckily, guys like junkyards and swap meets. Classic Ride Society. So yeah, you're the same as me. He said he only makes videos on the things that he loves, and that's pretty much what I do. I just try to bring people along for my daily crazy routine. Although I will say, I have a knack for getting myself in situations, meeting people. Like today, I got to meet Jack Beckman. John Chase lives in town, and I seem to gravitate in, get in these circles with other really enthusiastic car guys that kind of know their stuff. So, like when I met Big Kahuna, the dude that owns the monster truck, and I got to do some behind the scenes stuff with all that. And he was really cool when I did the surfboards and things. I seem to weasel my way into different things, like fastest car. So I figured it would be fun to showcase those things as well. And a lot of stuff falls in my lap and falls on my head. I mean, it's not like I try to do those things, but it just kind of works out. And I figured I get to do some stuff that average guys don't normally get to do. A lot of that's probably location. And because I've been doing it for a while, you just meet people. But I wanted to bring you guys along. And, I know that I talk to people daily on Instagram that are stuck back east and they were snowed in. And then now with this whole deal, I figured we could just share as a community, and keep the hot rod dream alive, man. What else do we got? Junkyard videos. Do you know if they only do one zip tie drags per year? So the weird thing with the zip tie drags, so this is for Classic Ride Society, was I went this year, so I skipped last year, and then I went this year. And when they were talking on the mic and stuff, I mean, I don't know if my buddy Richard's on here or not, but I was picking up that they weren't too sure, but I think it was right about the time the magazines all took a dump. So I don't know what their plan is, but I think they had like a street drag race thing for Roadkill, and then they just did that one event. So I don't know if they're going to be back next year, but they only have the one event as far as I know. If there's other guys that are more into Roadkill stuff, let me know. Funny story, though, I'll just throw it out there that I've met Freiberger, I think like 3 times now. And the last time I met the gentleman was in person at the Winter Nationals, not this year, but the previous year. And he was signing autographs at an autograph table. And it was him, Dulcich, and John Chase. Well, needless to say, you guys know that John and I are friends now. Well, I went up there to talk to Freiberger because I have a friend that used to work at Hot Rod. And that guy just did not want to give me the time of day. And I felt like he was too busy, although there was nobody else in line. It was just me. And I was being friendly. I don't think I was being too much like a fanboy or nothing. I was just trying to have a conversation. So, yeah, I don't really follow the Roadkill stuff. I don't subscribe to any of their deals. I used to love it when it was on YouTube. Some of the episodes, the Monster Carlo episode where they were doing the burnouts and the wheels fell off and broke the windshield out. I laughed so hard at that episode, and I loved all the early stages of Roadkill. And then it seemed like as soon as it turned into business and Dodge and everybody got involved and there was money, it seemed like a bad divorce where they stayed together for the children. And that's how I explain Roadkill to everybody when I see the episodes that are after a certain point. It's like Mike and Dude are just, they're keeping it together for the kids, which would obviously be probably the monetary value of the show. But yeah, it is what it is. I enjoy the event. And the one thing I do really wholeheartedly enjoy about Roadkill is the group of fans and the people that enjoy Roadkill. You guys are my people, and that's why I like the zip tie drags, and I'll continue to go no matter what. It's because the group of people that show up are a lot of DIY guys. I met a freaking rocket scientist, like a legitimate rocket scientist, when I went to Roadkill zip tie drags of all places. But a lot of smart guys, a lot of DIY guys, and a lot of guys that are willing to help, put in some wrench time, give you what you need. And they really are the epitome of hot rodding, in my opinion. Sometimes you get to some of these bigger races with the bigger, fancier trailers, and some of those guys, I think, kind of forget what hot rodding's about. At zip tie drags, I mean, those guys give you the shirt off your back. They're great. Everybody over there, nothing bad to say about the event or whatever, other than Freiberger's always too busy every time I seem to try to talk to the guy. But maybe you guys had a different experience. I don't know. What else is going on? So Hooligan looks like a GTA build. Sweet. Straight boosted. Bago is going to be sweet. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're working on it. Definitely should look killer with that paint. Boosted J-Rod. Should find one of the old Tonka type Winnebagos. You can match paint on it for Wes. You know, I might make one just to kind of set it up, set it out there. The other fun thing that we're going to do with the Winnebago too, I haven't showcased the inside yet, but we're keeping it pretty retro. But when we set up camp, because I want to use this to pit when we go race, local or if we go far away, and I'm going to get a roll of AstroTurf. So I want green AstroTurf. I'm going to get some pink flamingos and flake them out and then put like weights on them so they hold the AstroTurf down in case the wind blows. And then I thought it'd be funny to get like a kiddie pool and then fill that with like cold drinks and stuff with ice and stuff like at LS Fest. And just kind of make it like a little, maybe put some lawn chairs out there, make it like the white trash paradise. But this thing, it really is going to be fun. I don't know if you guys know or not, but the main goal of this whole deal is for that thing to do a burnout. So when we get to brakes, I am putting line lock in it. We are going to do everything we can. If I have to put a windshield washer reservoir, I've already thought about it, on a button and have it spray the tires before we start to get those bad boys rolling to overcome, obviously, all the traction and weight that thing has. I think we may even do that just preemptive, so that way when we go to burn out, the damn thing will actually go. Because I don't want to go out there and throw water. I think that's not cheating, but it's a lot cheesier if you're watching a video. But if I could roll up and just hit a button and it squirts my rear tires with water because it may need that to get them rolling, that's not cheating, right? I think that's cool. That's like some Mad Max style stuff. So yeah, we're going to try to get that thing to do a rolling burnout is the goal. They had to keep it on all fours, unlike Dirt Every Day when they were doing donuts. I want to try to just do a burnout and then actually use the thing and not dump it, hopefully. What else? Hooligan should find one of the old Tonka. Okay, we read that one. S10 issues. I cut down 3-inch and drilled them myself. Okay, so he's talking about the Ford 8.8 rear end. He cut down the long side axle 3 inches, and then you drilled the axles yourself, so that way it would fit a Chevy pattern. So that's one way to go about doing that. Because again, the Ford 8.8 has a Ford car pattern on it. So if you have a Chevy, then you're kind of screwed as far as wheels go, unless you re-drill the axles, which obviously you can do. I wasn't sure if you could do that or not. I think I ran spacers when I did mine, but yeah. Again, another guy, he re-drilled the 8.8 to the Chevy. What injectors you get, the new updates, the snake eaters have data now. Okay, Kyle Orsak asked what injectors I got. I have a set of 127-pound injectors from there's two different ones. It's FIC, but there's fuel injector clinic and fuel injector connection. So I have the fuel injector connection Bosch 127s. I bought them quite a while ago for the Maverick, and then I traded them to my buddy Jim with the Vega that was in Fastest Car, the yellow Vega. Those were the injectors that were on his car when he was in the show and everything. Those are the ones that I bought a while ago for my car that I sold, and we did horse trade and stuff, and then it came back around. He upgraded because he's trying to get more power out of that Vega to like a 210. So I knew those were coming available. I knew they worked, and I had initially purchased them. I knew what they cost, so we did some more horse trading. So I got those back, actually. Those come with injector data. We'll be throwing those in the Malibu, and then obviously the handheld. I've been running off the injector data for 85-pound injectors for some other brand, Bosch or something, that the Holly Terminator X comes with. Like, everybody got it, and they freaked out of like, oh, what's injector data? Like, I got it the first week it came out, and it was the closest one. I hit it. The car started. I've never looked back. So the injector data for like the 85-pounders that they have in there works fine. S10 issues. The Explorer rear is leaf spring. Yeah, that's a good point. So the Explorer rear end is a leaf spring rear end, and the Mustang of the 80s he said that he is pretty sure is not. So, well, if you have a Mustang and it has perches on it, you need to just take note of all that stuff. So when you do your 8.8, you can just take the purchase off of one rear end and obviously stick them on the next. Like the Malibu, all of the mounts and everything for the rear suspension on that came off the original 10 bolt. And I just opened everything up and welded it to the 9-inch that's under it right now. It's all factory locations and everything. And it actually kind of, it it doesn't work all that great when it comes down to it. I should have changed the rear brakes on mine, but we just butchered a bunch of stuff, and the wheels are on there. They're not falling off, and we're good. So yeah. What else? Man, I miss Chase Weber. Man, I miss Irwindale. Literally grew up there sitting in my dad's shoulders every weekend at the track. Dad knew a lot of people, so we had access to the suites. Too bad I was too young to appreciate it more. Yeah, I've been at Irwindale for like a little while, but I have some buddies that remember like King of the Hill days and all kinds of old school stuff. And I'm pretty new to drag racing for the most part because I never really had any money to go fast, so I wasn't interested. And then the Turbo LS junkyard movement, as soon as I kind of found that stuff, I was like, I got to do this well before I knew about Sloppy. And then I found Sloppy Mechanics through my buddy Jim with the Vega because he was building LS motors and he had the Turbo Vega. And he was like, have you seen Sloppy Mechanics? I didn't even know what it was. And then as soon as I found Sloppy Mechanics, I read the wiki. I'd go on there all the time. I think I asked a couple noob questions and I got roasted. So then I quit doing that. And I literally just was on there reading. And I was on there for a long time before I asked like a legitimate question and started interacting. And really the information is out there. And nowadays it's so easy to make power. The one thing people forget though is everybody's chasing that horsepower number. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's easy. The hard part is everything behind that motor. So your torque converter, your transmission, your driveline, your U-joints, your rear end, and then all the safety that comes along with it. All that stuff is going to crumble behind anything over mid 400s. So I had the 10 bolt in that car. I forget what I put down. I think I put down like 5 something, but realistically I would turn it down at the track and I'd run it like 400 and something horsepower. It still ate that converter. The transmission was a TH400, probably would have held up for a while, but you're still in on a good converter. You're going to have to do some with the transmission after that. And then by the time those two items work, you're going to either snap U-joints off or you're going to start breaking things in the rear end. So it is a slippery slope. So unless you really need the 1000 or the 800 or whatever it is, that's fine. But you need to plan accordingly, because just because you can afford a motor that makes 1000 horsepower, it does you absolutely no good if everything behind it is just going to explode. And I mean, I got a cheap setup. I made it to 500 and things started going terribly wrong with everything behind the motor. So now we're set up a little bit better. I make a little more power, but really I'm after a 60-foot in suspension at this point. I'd love to go bigger turbo, and I have some ideas and set up for the Malibu, but it's utterly pointless. But we will turn it up on the dyno next time we go, because I got bigger injectors because we can, because that's what you guys would do. That's what I'm going to do. Granted, we'll just turn it back down at the track because it's stupid, but we are going to try. You got to try, right? What else do we got? Miss Irwindale. Roadkill just sells t-shirts now. Was great before. Hooligan basically has my sentiment with Roadkill. Unfortunately, though, I think it's like everything else, though, right? Everything, they had the magic, but it only lasts so long. And then the other thing that's weird with those two guys is they work together. And I think Freiberger was Finnegan's boss. And then I think at a certain point, they were equal, if not maybe more people kind of like Finnegan. I think they're a great duo because they worked well with each other. But at a certain point, you got boss man, you got dude here, and then as soon as they're peers, I don't know, maybe that was weird for dude too. I kind of would get that, like he'd kind of nitpick on him or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know the story. I don't know the dudes. I've never talked to Finnegan. I've heard he's really nice. But like I said, I've talked to what's his nuts like 3 times, and I've had solid interactions. Not like there's a big crowd of people. Like I literally had him and myself just kind of in a, like one time at the swap meet or twice at the swap meet, the Winter Nationals. I think there's another time when I got to meet the guy, and he just, I don't know, maybe that's his personality. Maybe he just comes off that way and he's really cool. Maybe he's just nervous with people, or I don't know, but he just super kind of standoffish. Not standoffish, I'm sorry, that's a bad word for it. Busy, preoccupied, like looking at his watch when nobody else is standing there, and you're like, yeah, I suck. Like it makes you feel like you're super boring. Maybe I was. Maybe he's like, I hate this guy. Maybe I'm just. You guys ever meet that person where you're like, oh God, I just want to hit that dude. Like you don't even know the guy, and you're like, I would just punch him if he says anything to me. Maybe I'm that guy for I can't for Freiburger. Maybe Freiburger met me and he was like, God, I just want to punch him in the mouth. He didn't shut up. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was just one of those connections when we walked up and he was like, God, I just want to just take this dude out. So maybe he is super nice, but I'm just like his arch rival. He just met me and was like, I hate that dude. Fuel injector connection. Fuel injector connection. I can't even talk. Is cool. It's cool to deal with. Bought like 3 sets from them. So Hooligan said that. I agree because I had to hit them up for injector data, and they're right there with it. No questions asked. I just said I bought some. I thought like maybe they're gonna ask you for paperwork or something stupid, but they were cool. They gave me everything. I haven't plugged it in yet, so we'll see if it works. But yeah, I have it. Kyle Orsak. I have DECA 80s and I'm just using the FIC 850s. That's what I did too. I chose the closest thing. The car started like literally that video when I started the car. It's funny because it's kind of a terrible video where I put the system in the car, the Terminator X. But when I started it, it was on camera. Like I didn't try it and then go, oh look, it's the first time. Like literally I stared at it and then it ran and I kind of didn't know what to do. And then I realized like, oh, I'm filming this. I should have like a reaction. But legitimately, I was worried that it wasn't going to work. And then when it did work, I didn't know what to do with myself because I was waiting for it to like quit working. So yeah, I just picked the 850s and it worked fine. And it's close enough. I mean, if your injector data is off, the thing it won't run. The other thing too is with new builds, I've seen, because I'm in the Holly forums and stuff a lot, and I don't comment as much. I mean, I guess I could start a little bit, but I feel like sometimes other people have it covered. Happel's in there a lot. He knows way more about this stuff than I do. But on new builds with fuel injection, if you're not used to LS stuff, say you're new to everything, one of the hurdles is just having a fuel injected motor. So if you're new to fuel injection, there are certain things you need before you can start blaming the Terminator X for its shortcomings. I have seen where some of the harnesses and stuff haven't been plugged in. But then again, like my customer with the Mustang has an Apache at home. He's been doing all his own stuff. He could not get the computer to work. He sent it back to Holly. So finally, I just told him, I said, call me. I will troubleshoot it. I was like, I have one. At least give me a shot before you sit on the phone or whatever. And sure enough, the computer wasn't talking to it. We went back and forth. I had him check all kinds of stuff, and fuel pressure wasn't firing up. Finally, I came to the realization. I said, dude, your CAN bus connection's not working. What did he do? He plugged it in. The thing clicked. It actually made contact. So it was making contact on like the 2 outer pins. So it was powering up, but it wasn't, the connection wasn't there because it needs power, but it also needs the 2 CAN bus signals or whatever. It's a 4-pin. Technically, the CAN bus runs on its own deal, but it has the 2 outer ones to power the screen and everything. So the screen was powering up, but the CAN bus wasn't talking to the computer. He literally plugged that in, and then everything magically worked. But it's stuff like that. And you wouldn't know. You don't know. He didn't know. I mean, I wouldn't either. Aside from I knew what to run down in my head if I was troubleshooting it. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with fuel injected cars and you're moving from carburation, a lot of it's not voodoo, but there's certain things you need. You need a cam sensor, you need a crank sensor. It may run without a cam sensor, but I'm not sure. I don't think it really will fire, especially like a General Motors computer. I don't think it'll fire, but there's only like the 2 essentials. The rest of it just throws codes for and goes in like a limp mode. And then fuel pressure is like a big one. Having your fuel pressure, and then also having fuel pressure under load is different. And then also when you're moving, like my car was making good power in the dyno, the Malibu, but the way I set my fuel system up, as soon as I would drive, it would take all the fuel off of the pump. So then it would starve. So literally I could punch the Malibu, the motor would go crazy. And I feel like I could just put my arm out the window and it was like a Sunday drive. And everybody's like, oh, how was that? It sounded great. I'm like, dude, this thing sucks. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, as soon as I fixed the fuel issue, the thing ran like a 13-second pass first time out. And I was like, oh, that's what it's supposed to do. Not just make noise. It's supposed to go. I used to tell people I had a glorified like Honda Civic and not a good fast one. It was like the standard, just makes noise. You kind of hang your arm out the window. You feel like you're going fast, but nothing's really happening. So yeah, I would say if you're new to fuel injection, look at all of those things. And it's overwhelming. It takes a bunch. You're going to have to read. But as soon as you learn, you're going to learn a lot of stuff, and you'll actually know you'll know some stuff if you get into fuel injection things, but it's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. And then the first thing you're going to do anyway is you're going to throw nitrous or a turbo on the thing and blow it all to pieces, because as soon as it's NA and it runs, you'll go, hey, that's great. Now how do we go fast? That's what I did anyway. Deck of 80s, boosted J-Rod. What's up, man? Hooligan, definitely true. Definitely true with the supercharger. Our 2300 Magnuson with the Insta Boost was rough on parts at the track. So a buddy of mine, I don't know if you guys follow him, but the first dude that I raced on here, the Boogeyman, he's the whole reason he's got a 2016 Camaro. That's why my wife has one, because I raced him, and that thing was damn near dead nuts with my car when I first got it turboed and was trying to figure it out. So I knew that was a fast car, and he was NA stick on the 85. That was it. He had bolt-on stuff. Well, that guy went to a Magnuson, and the last time he was there, I finally saw him out the track. It had been a while, and right out the gate, he was having issues. And then my tuner, KP, was in there trying to help him, and they were figuring stuff out. But it was, and we told him from the gate, he used to make laps. Like, that guy would run more than anybody, like, in one night. And to the point where I was, like, jealous, because my car would always have some little thing, or I'd be messing with stuff. And he would just go and run laps. As soon as he puts the forced induction on, I mean, he'll get it worked out because it's the new bugs. But, you know, with turbos, like I tell people, I mean, I've had plenty of issues with leaks and connections from hot side, got that straightened out, and then cold side stuff. Cold side's always a gremlin. And then especially you get everything good and you got to work on something, you take it apart. Well, just because you put it back together and it worked last time doesn't mean you might not have tightened something down or had a pipe twisted a little bit. That's the one thing with turbo stuff that I want to change on the Malibu is I want to do a hot setup, because I don't need a billion horsepower like everybody else the rest of the world. I want simplicity because I'd like to do drag week, not drag week. Well, I'd love drag week, but drag, what is that? Rocky Mountain Race Week. And if I go on Rocky Mountain Race Week, I want like the simplest setup I can have. I'm not worried about power. I'm worried about kind of enjoying it, having a good time, not working on my freaking turd car the whole time. So I'm going to go hot setup before we do that. Plus, I figure hopefully it'll be chilly enough out there that IATs won't kill me. Coffee, by the way. It's kind of cold by now. What else? Kyle Orsack. I vote VS Racing, Gen 2, 7875. So I don't know if you're voting on that for the Malibu or for your car, but what I'm going to do with the Malibu, so here's my plan. We'll just throw it out there in the universe. You guys can pick it apart or whatever. So I want to go hot setup, but to negate some of the heat, I want to go with the bigger frame turbo. So we'll go T6. So I want to go with one of their big new boys, like the I call it the bucket turbo. That was what I was telling Happler they have on Sloppy. But he was showing me a picture. We were talking about it, and I said, yeah, I'd like to get one. So at some point, we're going to do a bucket turbo. So I'm going to do the big T6 frame turbo on the Malibu. I'm going to take the radiator that's there, get rid of it, get a sealed one from the guys over at Champion. I was talking to Leadfoot Racing. So we'll get a sealed one. I'm going to put that underneath where the gas tank used to be. So that'll give me a little more weight transfer on my little skinny bicycle rear tires. I can fix my stupid bumper so I don't have to do that anymore. We can get rid of the intercooler, and then we'll just hang that big-ass T6 right out there in the open air, get rid of the radiator, stuff that back underneath, and then that'll give me some weight transfer. That'll give me plenty of room for a bucket turbo, and then we'll just take that bad boy and plumb it straight from there right into the throttle body, and then just be done. We'll have literally 2 connections, so there's no boost leaks to chase. We'll have the bigger frame, so hopefully that'll keep back pressure to a minimal, which will hopefully help with heat, especially on a bigger frame turbo at a lower boost level. I don't think you're really going to see heat till you really start pushing it. And then the other thing too is I talked to Lyle Barnett from that has that Beer Money car right after they dropped the show, because on the show when they give you the rules, you can only have 1 power adder on Fastest Car. If you guys don't know, I was on Fastest Car season 2 with my buddy Jim. So the rules say that you can have 1 power adder. Well, that Beer Money car, if you guys followed that car from the 10K challenge, he ran Q16 with a shot of nitrous to cool the IATs on that show. Well, as soon as Beer Money showed up on the Netflix show, I knew, unless they were cheating, that he couldn't have nitrous. So they put it on E85 for that show, and he said he was pushing 30 pounds of boost on E85 only, hot setup through that motor that they have. Granted, they have it, what do they have it? O-ringed, and they have it half like block created. But I was talking to another buddy of mine for the block creating all that stuff. I mean, granted, I'm not going to run 30 psi because I don't really need all that action, and just having that bigger frame turbo, because I think they're on a 75 mil on that, but it's still a T6 frame. So we'll probably go a little bit bigger, and then 6-liter too. I'd like to put a 6-liter in the Malibu because I actually have it sitting on the floor over there. I was supposed to go to the Winnebago. Then Molly jumped on board, so now I have another one. So if I don't have to sell the one that's on the floor due to concerns and not being able to pay bills because of lockdown or whatever, we are probably going to make it a short stroke and then throw a big bucket turbo in front of that thing and then have more horsepower that we don't need at some point. But before I get all crazy with any of that stuff and bucket turbos, I would like adjustable rear suspension, even if it's cheap. I have a guy that's been bugging me to come down and help at some point and revalve some shocks and show me suspension setup stuff. So I'm going to take him up on that and then see if we can just really get the 60-foot decent on the Malibu, because then that thing will be, if I get the 60-foot down, that thing will be really fun. It'll be a monster for what it is. I know that there's always somebody faster, but for homebrewed stuff, if I can get the suspension kind of done on a budget and get that 60-foot down a little bit, I'm going to have a 9-second car fairly easily, especially the same power level. I don't even really need more power. Kyle, is the 235 the widest you can fit without clearancing the frame, or is the rim width the issue also? So for those of you guys that followed along, I put a 9-inch in the Malibu, and then I shortened the 9-inch down. It actually came out of like a 55 and is already short for a bigger tire. And I was just going to go straight to 275 and leave it there. Well, I physically got, I don't think I showed this, but I physically got a 275 tire from my buddy KP Fab. He had some takeoffs off his vet, and without a rear end or anything in there, granted, the tire's a little wider when you don't have it on a rim, but I could not physically stuff it in the wheel well with no rear end under the Malibu. So it's the actual frame itself and then the outside of the body. And I was even willing to like push the lip down and kind of push it out if I had to a little bit, but it is so tight, there's no room for tolerance for movement or anything, just on the physical size of the rubber on a 275. So you're right, I would have to get into the frame. And then the reason the frame does that is the spring pocket is all the way on the outside corner. So if I get into the frame, then that moves the spring. So the dilemma with doing that, it's not that I couldn't do it or can't do it. If I wanted to run 235, I think you have to have the stock suspension. So if I do move it, it screws me for the 235 class. I think maybe if you guys know better, you could chime in. But I don't know. At some point, I'm probably just going to get fed up with it, cut the damn thing, throw some adjustable coilovers, stuff a 275 in there and do some freaking wheelies and have fun. And it might come to that too. If I need said traction, maybe we'll open it up. I always thought too that if for some reason the dudes called me back and wanted my car for fastest car, I would have to cut it up and put a tire on there, because my car would not keep up with any of those guys on a 235 on the gravel road that they put you down. There's no way, even with weight transfer and all that stuff. So if they ever called and I just frantically start cutting my car up and stuffing the biggest tire I can get, without saying, that's probably why I'm doing it. But aside from that, I'll work with the 235. And it's the fun thing with the 235 is my car's kind of a pile anyway. It's all kind of home brewed. There's nothing really happening under the hood like when you see it, or like inside. Like I have some nice stuff. But for it to go that fast and then be on a bicycle tire, that's just one of those things you're like, man, this car is ugly. It's all home brewed, mismatched plug wires, the whole nine, and he's on a bicycle rear tire. Like and if I can do it, it's like, dude, you can figure it out. So I think with some suspension, I think we can get there. I mean, I don't think it'll ever be lightning fast. I think at a good event with a sticky track will be the best 60-foot the thing will ever probably have. But I race over Irwindale. It's kind of sketchy anyways. And I figure if I can work on it and get it there on a sketchy track, then we'll have a shot when we go to the big races, maybe one day. Again, I don't have enough money to really compete, but I'd like to go to some of the events just to have the car seen and to mingle and learn. I mean, the fast guys are at the track. They're not racing here on the keyboard in the garage. They're out doing it. So Kyle said he watched my install. Well, thanks, man. I don't even remember if it's informative. Honestly, that video was so long ago, and I've done so many since then. For those of you guys that don't know, I changed this. So before I did fastest car, it was DTV, which is just my name, and I had basically a vlog set up. So I revamped it, took the videos back to 0. So I already had over 100 blog videos, and then basically revamped it all into what you guys watch now, which it's staying at. I don't have any plans to change it, but I did that. So someday I didn't get pigeonholed like what's his nuts? Who's the guy with the Terp skis? He's a cool guy, Cletus McFarland. That dude blew up like overnight. So his channel is a Cletus McFarland channel. But if you think about it from like a merch standpoint, it's kind of funny. I mean, he still probably moves way more merch than average people, but if he had like a cool name, say like how Hoonigan has Hoonigan, they move way more merch probably than that dude does, just because it's weird to have some dude with like peace signs on your t-shirt versus like a cool logo or cars or whatever. So that was one of the reasons I changed my stuff too, because DTV is kind of, I don't know how many people want a shirt with like me on it like that, I guess. I'm sure there's one of you out there. Maybe my wife and my kid would wear it, but Booster J-Rod, they download the software. What else we got? Any more questions for you guys? HP tuners, I got my running working now. Okay, here's one from Kyle. Hey Dane, what about putting a little bit of stall in the Camaro? Nothing crazy, but a little bit will make a good performance at the track. I completely agree with that. I think as far as a performance mod, I think you're right on track. So maybe some E85 and a nice converter for her car would probably make a huge difference. And I've actually heard that too now that you say that, because she has the 8-speed in that thing. So I think that would make a world of difference. So maybe we could throw some money at a converter and then at a tune for some 85. Maybe we'll just do them at the same time and be done with it. Although I don't know what they're going to nail me for in a converter for that. Granted, it's only like 450 rated, so maybe she'll make 5 and some change or something with the tune. So I won't need a crazy converter, but I guess I learned my lesson, because you buy a crappy converter, you're just going to pay later, especially when it fills that transmission with glitter. That's not going to be good. Yes, we'd watch customer projects too. So SNS Customs said that you guys watch customer projects. I don't know if you ever watched the DTV stuff. I was trying to come in here every day and then film the stuff I was working on. But yeah, I'll at least, maybe I'll make a little subsection for this Mustang that I'm doing. And then you guys can all nitpick my actual work instead of, that's the other thing that's fun too with the Winnebago and with the Malibu. I don't really have to care at all, because it's for me. And I'm just trying to I literally do everything pretty much on the weekend or after hours in the dark. So some of the welds and some of the stuff is like, but on the customer stuff, like when it comes to bead rolling or making pieces, I have to take my time and do it right, because I don't think majority of people would pay for the work that I do on like the Malibu. And besides like the cage, there are some nice things on that, but for the most part, most of it is like, get it done as fast as you can. Okay is good enough, and we'll work the bugs out later. That's kind of the MO. But yeah, you should do one of these chats like this once a month or so. So Kyle said that. Yeah, we could do more. Here's what I'd really like to do, because I talked to Happel a little. Well, you guys watch me talk to him, but I could get him and myself on a feed like this somehow. Or I've got some buddies that are local enough that I could probably bring on, and we could do like a Q and A. I was thinking of bugging John, obviously right now, everybody's kind of quarantined and stuff, but I was going to bug John at some point and see if he wanted to come over and do like an interview. Maybe we could just do a live Q and A if you guys think that that's better than like a pre-recorded interview. And then also, it just depends on the guy or who person I'm with, whether or not they feel comfortable doing stuff. So I know John is cool with it. And then I just barely met Jack today. He was very cool, but at some point I'd like to sit Jack down and either do like an interview or whatever. And then I also have, who else do I have? I've got a couple more buddies I think that would be interesting for you guys to interact with, but I think it'd also be fun to have people sit in here with me. So, and then it'd almost be hilarious to see like the bigger and more well-known people that we can get to hang out in my garage and do these things. So that's almost kind of like a pseudo goal, mainly too, because when I first started doing this, even now, I'm just a little guy in a home 2-car garage, and I would always put a ceiling on myself, and I was like, oh, I'm in a garage. You can't do big things out of a home garage. But over the years, I've come to realize the skill set is what defines you. It's not the area that you're in. So it doesn't matter that I'm in a home garage, or if I didn't have a shelter above me, or wherever you put me on the planet, I still have the same skill set. As soon as you realize that, then you quit self-limiting. So now I almost think it's funny that if I could have, like full-on famous people to come over and hang out and do interviews, if I could get people to hang out with me here, just to make it fun for you guys, so we would sit in front of the same paper roll and all that stuff. That would be awesome. But I think at some point too, we'll dress this up a little bit. Maybe get rid of Sabina over here. I know you guys like her, but make it a little more professional, I guess, at some point. But we'll see. I agree, though. I can at least do these myself, but I would like to bring people in. Like I said, John Chase, if I can get like Beckman. Who else? I got offhand. I can't. I'm going to sit here and just rack my brain. But I have a couple other people that I could bring in that might be fun. My buddy from Crower, whenever, like I said, if this thing blows over, I talked to him. He was going to come over and do some motor building stuff and then film it for you guys. But with the way things are right now, at some point we will get back to real world, and then I can invite people over, and they won't be like, "Dude, you're sick. I can't hang out at your house," or whatever the thing is. What else we got? Cut the frame up and stuff that tire in there. We will. I know, like I said, Kyle, at some point I'm going to get fed up with the 235, but I really want to try to lean on suspension and learning. And I think, again, like I said before, I know tire is a crutch. I know it is, because if you have more of it, you just need less suspension and tuning, because you're like, well, I have tires, so I'll just lean on that, which I get. And that was what I was doing with the Maverick. The Maverick had a 3214.5 underneath it on a car that was going to weigh 2,600 pounds. So the suspension, I don't even think it would have mattered. I could have taken that thing down a gravel road and probably pulled wheelies, but now I've got a 3,400 pound car and I've got a tread width pattern this wide. But if I can get suspension and transfer and plant all that weight on that skinny little tire, we should be able to do work. So that's what I'm telling myself. And then, like you said, at some point we're going to get the torches out and probably just make a mess of it, stuff at 275. Plus my car would look way cooler with a 275. I'm not going to lie. I'd like to see it. What else we got? What's the fastest car thing you were talking about? So S10 issues. So if you have Netflix S10 issues, there's 2 seasons of it. It's called Fastest Car. And do yourself a favor and watch the first season before you watch the second one. They do a phenomenal job of storytelling with the individuals. Granted, they like to slant it more toward the feelers, I guess. Like they're always looking for an angle with each character for the most part. But ultimately, they do a good job of highlighting the people. So, and they shine a good light on people, I should say, because I know my buddy and I watched the show, and they did a good job highlighting and focusing on him with the show. So all the people you see on there are all genuine people, real people. This season, it was funny because first season I was like, hey, I know who that person is. I know who that person is. And then this season, as soon as it showed up, I'm like, you were on there and you were on there. So it's funny. They pull a lot of SoCal people, and I knew of a lot of people. Some of the people I actually know, like even guys in the background, which is kind of funny. They did a good job of shutting their mouth. And then other people I just knew by proxy, like they're local to where I am, like that. The YouTuber girl that was on there, I've seen her at Orlando. I've never talked to her, but I've seen her out. Accelerated Racing Solutions, they were local, never talked to them. I went to one of their dyno days, like when they first kind of opened, but I saw them out there all the time. That Lunch Money dude is a local guy to me. The guy with the GTO, one of his buddies in the background, I actually know that guy. So yeah, there's a bunch of people on there. But anyway, it's a Netflix special. Sorry to get sidetracked. So go watch it, especially now that you got plenty of time on your hands. You'll enjoy it. I'm sure that there'll be things you enjoy, there'll be things you don't enjoy, but that's car TV in general. I got a Freak Show 9.5 single disc billet in my 80E. I love it. 3,600 stall. It was $700 shipped. So Kyle, but the 4L80 is different from, I don't even know what the designation on the transmission in that Camaro is, but it's the 8-speed. So I don't even know what that is. Granted, I do know the newer your car is, the more they hammer you on the speed parts that you buy. So yeah, there's that. And then in California, I know, like, I don't even think you can buy speed parts for a new car, but I don't know if that's considered a speed part. So we may be able to get away with a converter, but you are right. I think a converter would make that thing way more of a monster. Uh, Tracy Morris. At 625 of the history of my truck, you can see the traction bars I built for leaf springs and hit a 1/460 foot. Can't paste link, but they are easy and cheap and took off zero point 0.6 off my 60 foot. Tracy Morris. So it looks like Tracy built his own traction bars for his truck on a leaf spring vehicle. Well, it turns out my Malibu is a factory 4-link. So I built adjustable upper arms already, and then the lowers are just in place. I don't have them plated or anything. I can buy lower control arms for my Malibu cheaper than I could probably make them. The big thing is I got to do the scales and the weight and find the instant center and go through the whole hokey pokey of weight and instant center and the where the bars actually point on the 4-link. From what I understand, from the factory, they're pretty good already. But if they need to be moved for whatever we need to do, I'll need to make those things adjustable, maybe put some extra pockets or reinforcements on the Malibu. Plus, all the bushings and stuff in that, they're all factory rotten rubber. So I know I'm probably squishy and it's losing some action, but we'll get it. I mean, I don't even know what a good 60 foot for that car is. I know what a good 60 foot in general is, but for a car that size, I'm sure there's guys that motivate things and they're cutting, low teens, but I don't know. I don't know what would be good for that car overall. Like if it could hit a 1.4 or a 1.5, we'd really be partying, I think. But yeah, it's at a 1.78 was the fastest it's done right now. So, and that was in at Roadkill. So the track wasn't even really all that great. I know it could do better, but something to be said about doing more with less tire. That is hooligan. Yeah, that's well. The other thing about making a 235 roll is, again, like I said, my car is really not that spectacular to look at. It sounds pretty, sounds pretty decent. And then you look under the hood, and I literally have a hodgepodge of mismatched like wires. And I have some nice pieces. I did buy some of the Holley split intake, and I've got the War Performance throttle body, and I have some other pieces on there. But ultimately, it's pretty much a budget deal. It's nothing fancy. I've got a $150 eBay turbo. And really, once you put a turbo on any LS, that thing is going to boogie. My buddy Reed's running a 4.8. His car weighed 3,700 pounds. So he's 300 pounds more than my car was at Roadkill. And he ran a 10.2 at like 134, 130, no, 130 something. But he went faster than my car with a 4.8. Granted, he was pouring way more boost into it. But yeah, you just buy a turbo, buy an LS motor, you stick them together, and you put it in a tank, and you're still going to have some fun. Well, hell, I got 2 cheap turbos and a what is it, 13,000 pound Winnebago. So we're going to hear the wood creak and crack when we freaking get on it with that thing too. Let me see if I can answer any more questions. We'll wrap it up here in a little bit, guys, if you guys are getting sick of this. Maybe check out that converter company in Florida that just sent Matt Happel one. He seemed to have great prices. Matt was in the video. Yeah, I did just watch that. So there's a converter company that just sent Happel from Sloppy Mechanics, converter with the raccoon sticker on it. So maybe I will check them out. At this point, I guess what we'll do too is let me get into the Twinnebago stuff real quick. So speaking of converters and things, I went all the way to LA today. They shut California down for the most part, technically. And I went over to, you guys hear me all right? Okay, it seems like it's working. Anyway, so I went all the way to LA to pick my motor up, and I gave him Gen 4 rods to fit the Molly pistons that Molly gave me, and I gave him 4.8 rods. So the pistons were actually poking out of the bores. So I ran all over God's green earth, and I ended up getting the correct pistons for the motor. So I should pick that up tomorrow. And then the wheels are here, and I have the Holley. With that all being said, because of the crazy stuff that's all going down or whatever, I'm going to stem my larger purchases. So the 2 big things I have left are tires, which I don't really need right now, and then registration. And I don't really need that to drive around. So we should have majority of the parts for the Twinnebago. So I'm going to keep grinding on that thing. But any real big purchases are really going to stump me at this point, because I'm just going to kind of try to lay low, make a couple bucks and pay bills, and do everything like everybody else. We might be able to do some driving videos or something at some point with the Malibu if they kind of ease up on all that stuff. But for the most part, I guess we'll figure out some how-to stuff or whatever. We can do some live videos. So if you guys have suggestions for things you'd like to see, other than I'm going to continue to work on the Winnebago, but it just depends. I don't foresee any big roadblocks, but I should have the motor back. I have heads. I have the transmission. So we should have majority of that. And what I'd really like to do at this point is at least just we'll fire that thing up. We'll still do that live. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. We'll probably just take the laptop out there. And then, yeah, we'll just hopefully giggle and listen to that thing run and throw it on the two-step. And aside from the brakes. So that's going to be my hiccup with that. That's what I was getting to is I don't have the money. I mean, I have the money to go do it. I just don't really want to part with it at this point in time for the brakes on the Winnebago. So we'll research it. The stuff's kind of cheap enough. They keep supply chains open. But ultimately, I think we'll get it running, and then we're just going to see how things kind of play out. So, and then I'm also not going to go a million hours a day. So I think we're just going to limit that thing kind of down to weekends. I'll spend evenings and stuff with the family and running the boy around. I got to walk him because he's 4 years old and he's not in daycare anymore. So he's all fired up. And then mom is telecommuting. So I got to fit more family time in running the boy, making sure he's taken care of. And then we'll just kind of do more weekend stuff on the Winnebago. So we're still moving forward. But even after it runs, it's going to come to kind of a halt there until we get the brake stuff situated and sorted. So I have a plan for that. So we'll work on it. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes in the near future here. So other than that, what else do we got? I think that's pretty much it. If I answered all your questions, it looks like the chat's kind of dying down. It's 8 o'clock here. I'm going to grab some dinner. I appreciate all you guys hanging out. I think what we'll do too is next time, maybe we'll give more of a heads up, or I'll just put a post maybe here on YouTube, and you guys start listing some questions. So I'm not shooting from the hip quite as much next time, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, watching the live feed is my first one. So looks like I had about between 14 and 20 people at any given point. So thank you guys for spending your evening hanging out with me. That's it. Till next time, I'm out. Bye, guys.